I'm Brooke Donnelly. I am a IFBB Wellness Pro. I am 25, turning 26 in a couple weeks. I have been bodybuilding oh God, I want to say maybe 4 years. And I really just started for fun, and it ended up becoming part of my life. I'm a full-time hairstylist, and I'm now a coach for Fit Body Fusion. So yeah, it just kind of integrated itself into my life, and I love it.
Bodybuilding isn't the most mainstream sport. So where did the idea for you come?
My boyfriend had always worked out. He did a show before. I went and watched, and I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. I don't know if I would ever do it. I went away to college my first year, 1 semester only. I gained, I would say, 30 pounds in those 15 weeks. Um, I came home. My mom looked at me and she was like, oh, Brooke, you got to go to the gym. This is not you. Something's up. So my boyfriend, started taking me to the gym. I lost all my weight. I started getting some muscle, and then I actually joined the gym that he went to, which was like the bodybuilding gym, because I was too scared to go there before. um, and the local coach that was his coach, I ended up hiring him, and I did a show with him, and I just fell in love with it.
Gotcha. And for you, that experience of putting on that weight was, mentally, what was that like for you?
Well, it was funny because I didn't even realize how much weight I put on, because I went through a really horrible first semester of school. I was depressed, and my roommates hated me. They would throw things at me when I was sleeping. So I kind of didn't even know I was putting on this weight. So when I started working out, it kind of seemed like, why am I even doing this? I didn't feel like I was bigger. But looking back, I was like, oh my God, that was not you. I was always athletic. I was actually at that school on a lacrosse scholarship. So it was crazy to me that I was playing lacrosse all these hours of the day and still put on that much weight.
And what was, I guess it was just an increase in calories, or like what was it for you?
Alcohol and pasta every day.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Once you got into the gym though, was there that initial spark for you? Did it take a while to kind of get the interest in it? What was it like?
It's so funny. I remember telling my boyfriend, I don't want muscles. I don't want to look like a dude. I don't want to be this big girl. And he was like, Brooke, that's not how it works. It's not going to happen like that. And I didn't believe him. And then I started putting on muscle, and I was like, oh my God, you're right. I'm actually just building a shape. I'm not going to look like this huge, scary woman walking down the street.
At what point did you start to see the, quote unquote newbie gains wear off? And did that hit? And then did you kind of get a little discouraged, or did anything happen mentally?
No, you know what? I am super lucky that I never really plateaued or anything. I put on muscle really easily. So I actually um did my first show with that local coach, and then I hired Jamie, who's the founder of Fit Body Fusion, and she makes sure that our bodies don't stall like that. So when I was with her, I always see progress.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break here just for a second. Let me tell you about Smoking Gun Coffee. They're a veteran owned coffee company that strives to produce a quality coffee at an affordable price. They only buy coffee from small coffee farmers around the world with a cup score of at least 85. Each batch is roasted to order for maximum freshness. They also donate a large portion of their proceeds to organizations that help local communities, veterans, first responders, or you can donate to the foundation of your choice at the checkout by going to www.smokingguncoffee.com. That's SMOKIN Gun Coffee. When it comes to science-backed supplements that taste great, 2NS is your one-stop shop. They truly maximize quality by making their own supplements in-house. With over a combined 90 years of experience, 2NS's team of industry experts has a commitment to research, quality, development, and innovation. The body is sacred, so give it the best. Check out all 2NS has to offer at secondnaturesupplements.com. That's 2ndnaturesupplements.com. Going into your first show, though, that first prep, obviously it's a little bit different than just, working out and going to the gym. What kind of challenges did you face in that first prep?
So it wasn't nothing with the eating or the working out. It was convincing my family that this isn't a bad idea. I think people, you tell them you're going to do a show. And my first show, I did bikini, and I actually competed in a natural federation, the INBF, with the local coach. Um, And my family was like, so you're just going to put a bikini on and like frolic around on stage? Like, I don't get it. And so I had to explain to them it's not about the actual getting on stage, it's about all the work behind it. And you want to showcase that. And it's not in a weird sexual way. And it's not to just put a bikini on and, you know, stand in front of people. It's to showcase the hard work that we put in and that, you know, we are willing to take the time to do this with ourselves.
Yeah. And was there for you, like being the one that to do it, was there any hesitation at all from you for getting on stage? Like, was that in any way uncomfortable idea, or even getting on stage itself uncomfortable, or was it kind of just like something natural to you?
I thought it would be uncomfortable because I had never danced or anything like that where I had to get on stage in front of people. But I'm not going to lie, I get up there. And even to this day, I go on stage and I black out. I don't remember anything about being up there. Just that I get up there and I just do it.
Yeah. I think goes a long way to just the preparation and turning. I think a lot of times in the moment of performance, being able to turn your mind off to every little detail, every intricacy, because the more we think about something, kind of the
Mhm.
more we mess it up in a way. We
Yeah.
want to almost just be robotic and the ability, not necessarily robotic in the performance, but robotic in the ability to just go through the steps and the steps that we practice and the posing and just the even going into that. Like, was posing for you, was that something that whenever you were, learning the poses and getting them down and practicing, was that something for you that you struggled with at all? Was it something you enjoyed doing? What was the posing experience like?
Posing was fun. Like I said, I'd never danced or anything, so I was expecting to be really bad at it. But the first time I started posing, I was like, oh, this isn't too bad. And you practice it all the time, so it just becomes second nature to you. And I'm lucky that I didn't really have any problems with it. I wear heels all the time too in my daily life, so I didn't have to worry about learning to walk in heels or anything like that. So that really helped me.
And then getting off of stage, not just on your first show, but for any show, what are some of the kind of prevalent emotions whenever that show is actually over?
It depends. Like when it's my first show of the season, I get off stage and I'm like, okay, what's the game plan now? What show is next? My last show I just did 2 weeks ago, and that was my last show for the season. I got off stage and I'm like, okay, what can I eat? But then I said, okay, to my coach, like, what's the game plan? Um, how long are we going to take off? We kind of sit down and figure it all out right after stage. And I try to avoid that like post show depression by giving myself another goal after stage.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's a big thing, whether it's bodybuilding or any big goal, you achieve something like that. And I've never done bodybuilding show, but I ran a marathon and it's just kind of the same way. It's like, you spend time on it and you do the actual event and it feels good and you feel accomplished. And then you're like, okay, well, what can kind of compare to that? What can I do next? And then
Right.
especially in a physical endeavor, you usually have to take some time off to recover and to get ready. And if you want to do it
Absolutely.
again, so it just takes, I think, having a good plan, a good kind of long-term goal to keep yourself from falling into that depression or,
Right.
whatever it may be.
And you get such a high from being on stage or like running a marathon. It gives you such a body high that when it comes down, sometimes people crash and burn. And I try really hard to avoid that.
Yeah. You mentioned kind of coming off the stage and thinking about that meal. What do you have, like a certain meal you like to go to, or is it kind of a flavor of the month?
So I love cookies. I will always have a cookie. Sometimes like I'll have a burger and fries. I was in Vegas for my last show, so I actually had a sushi burrito this time.
Interesting. I'll have to
Yeah,
try that. I've never
so
heard of
good.
that, but it sounds pretty interesting.
Amazing.
This episode is brought to you by Move Your Body Apparel, a Lexington-based, community-ran premium activewear brand that promotes the importance of daily movement. For the rest of the year, MYB is donating a percentage of every order to the Special Olympics of Kentucky. Save 20% off your first order with the link below or use code TWR20 online at mybapparel.com. Ready to take your supplements to the next level? 2NS is here to help. 2NS strives to help you attain the highest degree of health and performance. Combining cutting-edge science and the best from nature, 2NS gives fitness enthusiasts and athletes the fuel they need. Check them out at secondnaturesupplements.com. That's 2ndnaturesupplements.com. This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout. Whenever you go from, prep to prep, especially I think early on, what do you feel like you have learned and how you've kind of optimized each experience to kind of get better that next time?
I have learned that it's all in my mind. So, I it's hard to show because, your body's tired, you want to eat when you get off stage, like you get that like, okay, I'm off stage, I should eat. But you have to just tell yourself like you're doing this for a reason, and if you don't want to do it, you can stop at any time. So that's kind of what I tell myself. I'm like, once this stops being fun for me, like if I have like a 4-week break in between shows, if I'm not enjoying it, I'm not going to do that show. So that kind of helps me with doing like back-to-back shows and stuff like that.
What were some of the biggest things that changed when it comes to, the way that you trained, the way that you ate, whatever, recovery, going from amateur to pro?
So I actually am super lucky. I turned pro on my first try. So I never really had to be an amateur, um, which I feel like I kind of missed out in some sort of way with that, but I never really had that experience.
So was it, you know, having that immediate success? You kind of felt you said you felt like you missed out, and I think that's actually an interesting idea because most people would feel like, I want it as soon as I can get it. But
Mhm.
there's also so many lessons that we can learn in failure. What do you think you feel like you actually missed out on? As far as just having that success. Sounds like a weird question, but like, yeah,
Yeah, I feel like I missed out on earning it. I feel like I was in the right place, right time, and it just happened for me. And I don't like things being handed to me. I've always worked for things my whole life. And I just feel like all these girls that do 7, 8 national shows deserve it. And I know I deserved it at the time because they reward who deserves it. But I just feel like, I know I did the hard work. I know I dieted and everything, but I feel like I didn't put my time in. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, I think especially like you said, when you're in a sport where you can literally just get into it at any point, any time, and some people never reach the pro level, and they're just like they're trying and trying and trying. It's definitely it's not like a one way path. It's not like
Mhm.
in other sports where it's like, okay, you start in grade school, you go to high school, college, and you might go to the pros, and everybody's kind of on the same path. But in bodybuilding, there's so many different ways to get to whatever end goal that you want to get to, whether it's just doing it, whether it's going pro, whether it's stepping on the Olympia stage. There's not like a real blueprint almost. It's
Right.
everybody has their own kind of way to go about it. Everybody's body's going to react differently to doing it their own way. It's such a unique sport.
It really is.
So taking it to like you know, bodybuilding versus life. I mean, everybody who bodybuilds, they can call themselves a bodybuilder, but at the end of the day, they're a parent or a friend or a sister or a brother, or they have maybe another job. So how do you find, or how do you make or create the balance within your life? And a lot of times people think balance is being 50-50, but maybe it's 70-30 or 80-20 or 90-10. How do you find the balance to achieve what you want to achieve within bodybuilding, but also stay just be within your life in other areas?
Mhm. So I always say that bodybuilding is going to be such a short period of my life in the grand scheme of things that I don't want to destroy my hairstyling career and my personal relationships for it. So, I prep a lot, but I do try to make time for my family, my friends, my boyfriend. I work 12-hour days usually at the salon, so that's never a problem. I always put my work first. This is a hobby for me. So I love it, of course, but at the end of the day, it's not forever. So I can't do it forever. My body won't let me do it forever. So I really make sure to still go out when I'm on prep. Obviously, I don't eat or drink, but I still make time to do things that I enjoy with the people that I love. And you have to because, like I said, I can't be bodybuilding when I'm, even 40 years old, probably. I'm 25 now. I'm not going to be doing it forever. So I snowboard, I golf, I do things for fun. while I can still bodybuild at the same time. I'll always go to the gym and work out, but once I'm not at this level anymore, I'll have other things to do because I didn't drop them out of my life.
Yeah. And I think you can use bodybuilding too to enhance those other parts of your life. You wouldn't be as in of good a shape to snowboard or to golf if you weren't, doing what you do in bodybuilding in
Mhm.
a lot of ways.
Exactly.
Being around the sport for a while, like what do you feel like as far as the competitors have changed? Is it getting more competitive out there?
So when I entered wellness, it was like the first full year of it. So there was only a few of us pros. So now that it's been a few years and we've added more pros, the level of pros has like skyrocketed. There's more girls, different looking bodies, and it's gotten huge, and I'm really excited about it.
What do you think the kind of the biggest difference is out there between, even just between pros? Like there's even different levels of pros, obviously. Like what do you think the biggest difference is between being like a just a pro and being one of the top pros?
So just being a pro, I would say like I need to work on my conditioning where the top pros, they're every time they step on stage, there's no doubt they're conditioned, they're full, they have the muscle size. And that's something I'm still working on. So that's my goal is to one day be a top pro and to just like I said, step on there with that crazy, crazy conditioning.
This episode is brought to you by Move Your Body Apparel, a Lexington based, community ran premium activewear brand that promotes the importance of daily movement. For the rest of the year, MYB is donating a percentage of every order to the Special Olympics of Kentucky. Save 20% off your first order with the link below or use code TWR20 online at mybapparel.com. When it comes to like being a bodybuilder, obviously people think of it as like a very disciplined thing. You have to do the things that you don't want to do a lot of the times. And when I say don't want to do, I mean, of course you want to do them for the goal, but you don't necessarily want to wake up at 4 a.m. You don't necessarily
Right.
want to, spend hours meal prepping or whatever it is. But how do you kind of recognize the difference between the things that you don't want to do and maybe being on that limit of being burnt out on the sport in general?
So that's kind of what happened to me before my last show. I got up to 2 hours of cardio a day and I was eating really close to nothing. Um, and I just, I'm like, I don't want to do 2 hours of cardio a day anymore. And I was doing it because I know I wanted to and I had to, but I could feel my body physically like kicking me, like, we're not doing this much longer. You can't do it anymore. Um, so I was coming to the point of burnout for sure.
And how do you, other than just maybe the obvious, like how do you keep that fire lit, from the motivational side, what pushes you to keep going? Maybe even after giving yourself a little break, but like what keeps you coming back to it?
I keep coming back to it because I know that what I do, so many other women would kill to be in my spot. And that my sport is a sport that I would say maybe like 90% of people could never do. So it's really cool to say I do something that I know a lot of people would never want to or just never physically could do.
Yeah. I think that's a really cool way to look at it. Um there's so many opportunities out there.
Mhm.
Um and in whether it's a business or a job or a whatever school, just being grateful for the opportunity that you have, and taking full advantage of it because like I said, so many people can't or whatever do what we take for granted, the
Yep,
can't remember where I saw it the other day, but it was something like, people are praying for the opportunities that you're already, living in. So, be
exactly.
grateful
And
for
like
it.
I choose to do this. So I never, I mean, sometimes I complain, but I really try not to complain because I'm like, I choose this life. I choose to starve. I choose to do hours of cardio. So I know a lot of people are physically unable to do these things. So I'm not going to complain that I'm able bodied and am choosing to suffer almost.
So what do you feel like you've learned about yourself through the process?
That I am more confident than I give myself credit for. And I am a lot more mentally tough than I ever thought I could be too. And I think everybody's more mentally tough than they'll even try. Um, I think if you just push yourself past that first hurdle, and you're like, okay, I can do it. And then you just keep going over those hurdles and you realize like, holy crap, I actually am a super tough person. I can do this. And that's why this sport is really cool. It's just like, okay, get through this first prep and see what happens. And okay, get on your first pro stage, see what happens. Get a first call out, see what happens. That's why I love what I do. And I feel like that's what makes me mentally tough is being able to see that I've already accomplished things and that I can do more.
Yeah, and it's basically, I think what you're talking about is like your comfort zone, and
Hmm.
getting out of that. And a lot of times I'm the same way. It's like if I don't know what the outcome is going to be, I'll be so hesitant to
Yep.
even start it. And I think even just like fitness in general is cool in that way. Just you don't know. Like if you pick up a weight, you don't know what the outcome is going to be. Are you going to be able to
Yep.
lift it? Are you going to be able to do it for
Right.
10 reps? Are you going to be, and then you just you put yourself, like I said before, you put yourself in that situation and you learn that it doesn't really matter. It's going to be okay either way. You're going to
Exactly.
either you're going to succeed or you're going to fail, and then you're going to change something up. Or you're going to keep doing it.
Right. And if you fail and that's the worst thing that happens, oh well.
Yeah.
And I always say if you don't learn how to lose or how to fail, you have a long, long life ahead of you because you're going to fail more times than you succeed. I can do anything that I'm good at all day, every day, but it's the things that I'm not good at that I want to be good at that I have to try.
What advice for people, young people who want to get into this sport and actually, they're not just looking to do it, and then there's nothing wrong with doing it just for the experience, but they want to be successful in the sport. What advice would you have for them?
I would say first hire a coach, somebody that knows the sport, knows the division you're going to compete in, um, is knowledgeable in it, and takes your health first. This sport can be really detrimental to your health if you don't find a coach that's willing to make sure that you're set up for a healthy life. Make sure you have a solid muscle foundation first, because once you start cutting down, sometimes you realize like, oh, I was just skinny. So make sure you have a solid muscle foundation and make sure you really love it. It's weeks and weeks out of your life. And if you don't love it, you're going to be miserable.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was really good getting to talk to you. I appreciate you coming on here today.
You too. Thank you again for having me.
100%. If people want to follow you on social media, though, where can they do that?
So my Instagram is at brookemarie.donnelly. And yeah, that's it. Only Instagram for me.